Hey guys, and welcome to Petrol Ped, and welcome to a very wet, cold and windy United Kingdom. The current weather we're having and my work schedule is playing absolute havoc with creating videos, and it totally screwed up this week's plan because I planned to review a convertible car today and it's absolutely chucking it down with rain. So I thought it would be a good opportune moment to do a bit of a Q&A. Find out what you want to know. It's been a long time since I've done a Q&A, so roll the titles. So a couple of days ago I put a post out on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter asking what you'd like to know, and I got a whole bunch of questions. I'm going to do my very best to cover them all in this video without going on too long. So the first question I'm going to answer is from Alan Cobbin on Facebook, and he asked, what made me become a motoring journalist? Well, first Alan, that question made me chuckle because there's no way I would classify myself as a motoring journalist. I am a hobbyist at best, but I used to watch YouTube, I used to watch the car channels on YouTube, and as a guy who's done pretty much 20 years in a job where I stand up and present to people, and I love cars and I love driving, I thought I'd give it a go. And the aim really was, if it got me to drive some nice cars, then that would be all I was ever after, and it's kind of grown a little bit beyond that to the point where I actually had to change my job to accommodate it. But I wouldn't call myself a motoring journalist. At best, I might call myself an automotive vlogger. But hopefully that answers your question. So, what's next? So the next question I'm going to take is actually off of Instagram, and that's the Prison Lawyer. Before I answer your question, I need to say, hello, wee man. So Prison Lawyer wanted to know, am I at the stage where YouTube could become a full-time job? Now, I find this a really interesting one. We all watch many YouTube channels and you see all of these young guys driving supercars and having a lovely time. And I think there's a perception out there that you can basically start a YouTube channel and earn loads of money and buy a supercar, and basically that perception is completely and utterly ridiculous. I've been doing YouTube now for 2.5 years. I've uploaded pretty much a film a week, and now I'm doing 2 to 3 films a week for 2.5 years. I put an awful lot of effort in, and whilst I earn ad revenue, there is absolutely no way that ad revenue would replace my day job. I would need it to increase by a factor of at least 10, maybe 15, for me to actually be able to have that as my main or primary income stream. So the really big channels, for sure, they're going to get lots of ad revenue, but I am convinced, and I don't know the details, but I'm convinced that many of those channels will have additional sources of income helping them do what they want to do. I live in a very nice house, I have a very large mortgage that needs to be paid at the end of every month, and there's no way that YouTube will do that. However, it does contribute to my income, for sure, and my goal, I guess, I always thought, if it ever was the effectively the monthly payment on a reasonably nice car, then I would be a happy bunny, and that's pretty much the level it is at now. Following on from that, John Gallop 20 and MB190E kind of asked a similar question. The Prison Lawyer asked it too, and that's, where would I like to see my channel go? To be honest, it's exceeded all of my expectations already. I guess if it got me to do some more cool stuff, there's still a whole bunch of cars that I haven't driven yet. I'd love to do some stuff around track driving, and ultimately I'd like to do more of the kind of live presenting, either on social media or kind of TV presenting, which is incredibly difficult to get into. I do a little bit of that outside of the YouTube space, so I'd love to kind of have YouTube enable me to do more of those things. And then final question, all related these were, again from the Prison Lawyer, what partnerships, product or opportunities do you think might take your channel to the next level? Well, doing collaborations with larger channels always helps, although that's always difficult to kind of get a collaboration that works for both parties. I've done a few. There are many channels I'd like to collaborate with, so hopefully one of those will come off in the near future. The big opportunity for me as a car reviewer is getting access to car launches. Many of my car reviews are done through dealers, and my challenge is, by the time a car comes to a dealership, it's at least 2 or 3 months after the launch. So I'm now just of the scale where I can talk to brands at brand level and get access to press cars and access to press launches. So the big thing for me this year is to get more and more of that and get to more and more press launches and early access to vehicles, because all the films I've done that have gone really, really well are normally when I get a car really early, when it's quite new and people are still searching for it on YouTube and still wanting to know more information about it. So that's the big thing for me, getting early access to cars through press teams and launches. So the next couple of questions are quite related actually. So the first one from Instagram, from This Is Number 30, and they ask, which part of the social media or being on social media do I like the least, and do I tend to look at my phone a little bit too much? Well, the simple answer to that is yes, probably. I must admit that whilst I try really hard at Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, they've not nearly been as successful as I'd hoped they were in terms of the number of followers. But you do feel duty bound whenever you're at an event to be taking pictures and getting them onto social media, but I don't mind that so much. I also try and reply to every single comment posted on YouTube or any of my Instagram, Facebook or Twitter feeds, and that takes time. That means most mornings I wake up, first thing I do is I go onto my comments and I reply to them all. The bit I don't like is I don't like the whole keyboard warrior thing. People are very brave behind a keyboard and can put some comments that just, there's no need for it at all. And then the other thing I really don't like is people making comments on social media about things that they know absolutely nothing about and coming across as if they are an expert. And that leads me on to the next question, which I kind of promised myself I wouldn't comment on, but I feel like I need to at least say something. Well, I did say in my post, ask me anything, and therefore from Twitter, RL&H Studios has asked me for my opinion on what's happened to Gas Kings. Now, I am not prepared to talk about the details of the case in any way, shape or form. However, as a good friend of Anthony and Ian's who run Gas Kings, I did want to say something. I've tried very, very hard not to engage with any of the activity on social media about this because I just didn't feel like it's appropriate. However, I just want to say there are lots and lots of people out there, people who kind of are trying to start, YouTube channels or want to get a bit of views or a bit of growth, that have looked at what's happened to Gas Kings, read an article in the Daily Mail and assumed that that article is completely 100% correct, and then gone onto YouTube or gone onto social media and started to spout a whole bunch of rubbish in an attempt to get some views and a bit of channel growth. And I honestly, those people don't understand any of the facts involved, don't understand the history. Most of them don't understand or appreciate how YouTube works either. And quite frankly, they should just pipe down and shut up and just leave it alone. What's happened is very complex, very sad, and ultimately Anthony has a young family and has been affected in a huge way, and I think people should just give that a bit of consideration and think before they open their mouth or type on a keyboard. And that's kind of all I wanted to say. I've got quite a lot of friends in a similar position who are desperate to try and get involved in the conversation, but it's really just not appropriate. But I said to you, ask me any questions. That question was bound to come up. I've collaborated with Anthony in the past before, and I hope I'll do so again in the future. He has my full support, and I just wanted to say that really. And the same for Ian. So there you go. That's my thoughts on Gas Kings. So moving on then, I have 3 questions that are all around the same subject. So firstly, from Facebook, Kevin Sutterby said, you haven't bought a new Jag yet then? No, well spotted. I haven't bought a Jag yet, but one day I hope to, maybe. Then off of Facebook, Sam Automotive said, if I were to buy a new RS4, what colour would it be? And on Twitter, Harry Lackney said, what's my next car going to be and why? So let's cover this off, because I'm missing out here. Unfortunately, I'm not one of these YouTube channels that can keep buying supercars and changing the cars all the time. I honestly don't know how those guys do it without losing a shed load of money. Sadly, I live in the real world. I have a mortgage and I just can't afford to do that. And also because I changed my job last year to make more time for YouTube, and I'm now freelance, I'm self-employed. If I were to go and buy a new car, I would need to have some element of finance to help me do that. And in order to get that finance, I would need to provide at least 12 months worth of accounts for my new business. So until I've been self-employed for at least 12 months, then buying a new car really is quite a challenge. So that is unlikely to happen this year, but hopefully next year. Because I am missing out on all of these videos, you know, wrapping a car, and PPF and my collection, and I've upgraded it and I've changed a new exhaust. You know, I need to become a proper automotive YouTuber. I haven't done any of that yet. What car I would buy? Well, if it was an Audi, just to answer Sam's question, it would be Sepang Blue as a preference, because that's my favourite Audi colour. But I've really got three options. As you know, I love the F-Type, and I've got a real hankering for a V8R F-Type convertible, the all-wheel drive one. But my head says if you're buying an F-Type, you should probably buy a V6, because it's probably a little bit more sensible, but the V8 does sound epic. But I also really like the new Audi TT RS, having owned two Audis in the past, two TTs in the past. Phenomenal car, and there's like a £20,000 difference between those two, so the TT RS is a very, very top candidate. And then also maybe a 718 Boxster S, because I really like those too. So it would probably be one of those three, but if things change, not likely to happen this year, but if things change, you guys will be the first to know. Okay, so next off of Facebook, David Heath asked, is there going to be more on advanced driving coming to the channel? Well, simple answer to that, David, is hopefully yes. Now, hopefully you've all watched my video I did on becoming an advanced driver a couple of weeks ago. On the back of that, I've been contacted by a couple of really, really exciting things. I can't really say too much at the moment because we're still investigating just what I could do. One of them is that I'm talking directly with the Institute of Advanced Motorists, so I can kind of talk to you about that, and maybe doing some work around helping encourage young people into advanced motoring. So really, really exciting opportunity there. The other one I just don't want to talk about at the moment because knowing my Sod's Law would say if I talked about it, it wouldn't happen, because if it happens, it's going to be unbelievable. But we're just trying to work out what we can and can't do. So keep them peeled. That's coming to the channel. But if it comes off, keep your fingers crossed, because it will be wicked. Okay, so next off of Facebook, both Joe Grassi and Mark Ginger Baker have asked a question. Basically, when can they buy a Petrol Ped t-shirt? And this is something I get asked quite a lot. Whenever I put a video up that has, when I'm wearing either my t-shirt or my branded fleece, I get questions, when can we buy one of those? And I would absolutely love to do some merchandise. The big challenge I've got is I don't know what the demand would be. So to help me out, if you would be interested in that, put a comment in the comments below. The challenge you've got is I would have to invest in getting some stock made, and then if it didn't sell, I'm basically left with it. So it's quite a big step to go into that level of merch. It might not be a t-shirt, it might be something like a cap or some other type of apparel. So maybe you could put in the comments below what you would be interested in. The other thing is I wouldn't want to do something cheap and nasty. I would want to make it a nice quality product that people would last, you know, and people would really like. So you know, what would you guys like, or would you like me to do a range of t-shirts or some kind of Petrol Ped merchandise? Let me know and I'll see what I can do. Okay, next up, two different questions but with the same answer. So on Facebook, Elliott Steel asked what my favourite YouTube video so far has been to film, and Oliver Garrett, again on Facebook, basically asked what the best drive I've been on. So my favourite film, to be honest, anytime I get a really lovely car, for even if it's just a few hours, it's really special, and I love the opportunity to film with them. But my favourite shoot so far was the shoot I did with Love Cars when I got hold of the Subaru WRX, and then we met up, we went down into kind of North Devon, and that's where the best drive was. I actually wasn't driving the Subaru at the time, I was driving my friend's Evo 10 FQ400, and it was just mega, amazing road. We had 4 cars in convoy, and it was just fantastic, and that's it. So I'll put a card above, make sure you check out that video. The Love Cars version of that's had like 300,000 views, and mine's only had about 10,000, so we need to kind of spread the love on that film and get some more views on it, please. Okay, we're getting towards the end, but I've got a few, hopefully, rapid fire answers. So off of Twitter, Tony Swan has asked me 2 questions actually. What's the worst car I've ever owned, and what driving law would I change? Worst car I've ever owned, dead easy. I had a Renault 19 1.4 Energy, and it was rubbish. I only had it for a short period of time, but yeah, didn't like it at all. What driving law would I change? For me, that's quite easy. I would basically lift the upper speed limit on the motorway. Whether I went full unrestricted autobahn like Germany, probably not, but I would certainly look at or think about raising the speed limit on a motorway to maybe 80 or 85, a bit like France. So France is 130 kilometers an hour, and I think that would work really, really well. And then Facebook, Ian Cross, where do I shop for cycling gear? So obviously we are now the peddlers, and you know I do a bit of cycling content. So my favourite cycling brand is Castelli clothing. You'll probably notice I wear Castelli quite a lot every now and again on videos. I either buy that online from Wiggle normally, or I've got a brilliant cycling shop in Chichester that does all my bike maintenance. I bought all my bikes from them, and they are called Hargroves Cycles, which is very confusing because the local car dealership I do loads of work with is Harwoods, and I always get those two mixed up. But yeah, Hargroves Cycles in Chichester are brilliant. There you go. Okay, last couple of things. I've got 4 suggestions or questions about when I'm going to review cars. These are now my next cars to review list. Andy Ross wanted to know when I'm going to drive the Polo GTI. Stephen Benham, he wanted to know when I'm going to drive the Peugeot 308 GTI 270. Scott Watson wanted to know when I'm going to drive a Toyota GT86. Interestingly, Scott, I was that close to driving the Subaru BRZ a few months back, but sadly the local dealership went and closed the day before I was due to have the car, which kind of put a kibosh on that one. And Riot G has suggested that I drive a Lister Thunder. So some of those are already in play. I'm already going to try and get access to those. So thank you for those suggestions. And then finally, Speed Machine 35 wanted to know what the immediate future holds for the channel, what kind of stuff is coming up. Well, the next big thing is on Sunday the 13th of May, I'm going to be at the Lulworth Castle Motor Show. It's being organised by the Dorset Blind Association. I'm going there, I've been invited to go there as a guest. Ruby Roadster is going to be on display with RPM Services. They're a valeting and detailing company. My mate Humphrey is going to be there with Red 10, the Aston Martin Vanquish S Red Arrow Special Edition. There's a drive out in the morning and then static display of some really cool cars. So if you're in the area, please come along. I might even do a meet and greet in the afternoon, so keep them peeled on my social media for details of that. And then other things this year, I'm very much hoping I'm going to be at Le Mans this year. I haven't been to Le Mans for a very long time. I've got some really cool conversations going on with private owners of some amazing cars, and I've just basically got to try and sort those out and arrange times, one of which is a trip up north to drive, well, to get access to just a dream garage. So I'm really looking forward to that. Anyway, I've got lots and lots of stuff planned, always thinking of ideas. Any ideas you guys have, please send them to me and I'll do my best. But anyway, it's about time I draw this video to a close. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have done so, give me a thumbs up. Comments below are always welcome, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to Petrol for plenty more content to come, and I'll see you guys on the next video. But don't forget, if you're in the area, come along to the Lulworth Motor Show on Sunday the 13th of May and come and see me and come and see Ruby Roadster, and I hope to see you there. Anyway, you take care guys, drive safe.